Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 143 of Bloody Thumbs Podcast, a live edition. That's right, live. As you can hear CH in the background, he can't hide his heart's content of the live broadcast. We haven't done one of these in a while.
Yeah, screw it, we'll do it live.
We do it live, and we spend a good almost half an hour trying to get this going, but hey, we're here. We're here.
And it's worth it. I don't know what it is about my computer where it will get like the message that you sent and then in the invite that you sent like 20 minutes ago, and then it'll just be like, oh, by the way, we've already started, so there's kind of no point to it right now. Like, damn it, you crafty notification system.
Yeah, it's so weird. I normally it's pretty good about catching that stuff, and all of a sudden it just took so long to actually get an invite there, but at least we got it to work. So I think I should probably start, if we ever do these again, we might start sending the invites out maybe an hour ahead of time and see if they actually show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like send it now, and then by next week I'll be able to get it.
Yeah, we'll be good. We'll be good to go to broadcast here. So, yeah, I went ahead and sent out the tweets. So hopefully we'll get some peoples on here if they want to go ahead and interact with us. We'll be glad to do so. But yeah, this is another edition here. I looked a little bit in terms of news, and I got a couple things. We could definitely probably discuss. You might have seen some of the stuff on there, but it's one of those things where it's not much.
It's a little bit dry.
It's a little bit dry. I know that there's definitely a lot of games that I've been playing that I either got from a sale or just the ones that I purchased after the good two major ones that came out this month was for us anyways, the Splinter Cell Blacklist and Saints Row 4.
Yes.
Which I did finish Blacklist I believe a couple days after we did the last podcast, and I don't know if you want to get into it too much. I don't know if you've already beaten it, but
yeah, I'd love to. I'm sorry?
It's good stuff. That's all I have to say.
Damn straight. Would you like to do a review on it now, or save for a particular single episode for that?
That is a good question, since it is a live edition, and I don't know if we have much to talk about in terms of news, but I guess just out of randomness, we can talk about it a bit, and that's
sure.
I don't know. It's live. This is live, folks.
Yes, well, how about this? How about we go through the news topics that we have, and then if it looks like that we're well into discussing and then we don't really have much else to talk about, then we'll go on right over to Splinter Cell.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. So, what have you got in your neck of the woods there for news that you want to discuss?
Well, Of all the kind of like the big game releases that are coming out, there's a new with the movie Riddick coming out over not this past weekend but the last one.
About 2 weeks ago, maybe.
With I really love the Riddick universe that they have, just because it really is its own sort of interpretation of the universe where. I didn't really like Chronicles of Riddick, the movie, but Pitch Black, Escape from Butcher Bay, Assault on Dark Athena, all the different interpretation of the universe. It's very dark and very. It goes to it's all about like prisons. It's all about people getting arrested, and you don't really see the other side. There's probably like the scientific and the religious universes that are out there, but you just kind of see the dregs of society sort of universe. And that makes me happy that apparently they are going to be releasing a next Riddick game, which makes me happy as a clam because I love Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay, and I think it was one of the best first-person shooters of last generation, and just one of the best first-person shooters that I've ever played. And like one of the great things that they got first-person fist fights right. It's like how could they do that? And they did. It's like, wow, awesome.
Yeah, you never think you'd get a game like that where it does first-person fisticuffs really well, because it always feels a bit janky, and you never really take that approach in terms of, I guess, depending on the game you're playing. Like, I never really would bother doing much of that if it was a first-person shooter. It just felt so weird and awkward. But it's good to know that actually there is a game that did it kind of right there.
Yeah, I mean, and I loves me some of Escape from Butcher Bay, because it also has Ron Perlman in it, and one of the brother of Merle in The Walking Dead. I can't remember what his name is, but he was in there, and he's also the voice actor in there. He's really good in that role, and they get like really, really good voice talent. And what's incredible is that apparently, I was about to say Riddick's own developing team. No, it's Vin Diesel's own developing team. Like it's kind of like at that point where Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark are basically synonymous right now. Right. But you got his company, Tygon Studios, wants to deliver the third chapter in the Riddick games, and they basically reassembled the team from Starbreeze that brought Escape from Butcher Bay for the third game. So they took about a year. I'm sorry, just a couple of months from this year to assemble a team that did the original Escape from Butcher Bay and actually create a true honest to God sequel. And whereas Assault on Dark Athena, that was kind of an expansion pack. That was like a HD version of the game with some more. It was good content, but it didn't really capture the greatness that was Escape from Butcher Bay. And the Starbreeze has just come off. It's not going to be the company Starbreeze, because that just came off of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. But I'm really looking forward to this game.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, that franchise that definitely does have some followers, but not as a kind of a huge following that are clamoring for like another game. But it's nice that they're actually working on another game for those fans. I have personally have never seen enough of the Riddick films to kind of dictate otherwise if I would be kind of interested in seeing them. I've seen parts of them, like the first one.
Yeah.
And, I just one of those things where I've seen parts of it, but I just haven't seen the whole film.
It's so weird because I love the first film. Pitch Black, I think, is one of the best horror sci-fi films of all time. And I don't really like horror films, and I love that film. And with Chronicles of Riddick, that one it's outrageously mediocre, where it's like they could have done either really poorly or really great in directions in that film, and just like throughout the entire thing. You don't really feel anything. It's like, okay, they're trying to be kind of like the same tone of the first one, but they're also trying to be more action adventure, and that's not working. And I just love the design of that universe in Chronicles of Riddick, as well as the mythology that they build up, because it's very brutal. It does fit within kind of Pitch Black's universe, where this guy who's it's also very traditional mythology, whereas like this in Chronicles of Riddick, there's this religious cult that basically develops into like this huge armada, and the leader of it all is basically terrified that one of these kids from another faring race is going to kill him. So he basically kills all the boys, and Riddick is one of them. And so that's kind of how he starts his entire life. And I thought it could be it's like one of those like very violent R-rated films that has a very good a devout following, like RoboCop or Judge Dredd, where they really focus on sort of like the brutality of all, but there is something very interesting in the mythology, and the universe crafting is very well done.
That's good to hear.
And speaking of which, I did see Dredd, and
yes.
The new. And I gotta say, wow! I was blown away. I was like, wow! This film is. Whoever did the marketing for this film should be fired, because they obviously did not sell it enough for for the awesomeness that was that film. It was what is the other film? The Raid. It's very similar to that in terms of, Judge Dredd and who is his sidekick? Carmen.
I'm trying to remember the name, but he always calls her Rookie. But I do know the actress's name, but it was Olivia Thirlby.
Mm-hmm. And she was great in that one too, where they build this really interesting universe, but you only see snippets of it. Where they plan out this huge elaborate sort of system, and Judge Dredd and the Rookie are basically sent into the prison, and then later, not going to spoil how, but other judges are sort of brought on scene, and then you get a feeling of sort of the system that works in there, and they do it very, very well. And that's how I sort of feel about the kind of the Chronicles of Riddick universe, especially with Escape from Butcher Bay, where I get the feeling that like the universe has become so ridden with prisons and gangs that it's become its own society. It's not just like a part of society. It is its own society, and it really does make me feel like that same way that I did of Judge Dredd's kind of look at this post-apocalyptic future and how people survive in it. And the same thing with Riddick. I have not seen the new Riddick film. I'm very, very engaged. I really want to do so just because not only is it a Riddick film, but I also want to see it because of Katie Sackhoff, who I love from Battlestar Galactica as Starbuck.
Oh yeah, I did see she was in that movie. She's great in mostly everything she's in. So that's definitely
the Godjamming badass. She makes my heart all aflutter.
Oh frack.
Oh frack me. Yes, please, Katie Sackhoff. Yes, please.
Yeah, Dredd's a good film. I liked how just simple it was. Like it wasn't trying to hammer anything into you, like any type of message or anything. Unlike and it was also it didn't go too big. Like it was all in a very small, self-contained story. It wasn't this big story about saving the world. It was just a very basic, straightforward story, and it worked for it. It's not like Michael Bay films where they just go all out. They do so much, and everything's on the line, but you just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
This one, it knows that you're not going to give a damn, but they keep it simple.
Exactly, and that is really true to kind of the universe, how it's just like another day in the life of Dredd. Yeah. And I like how there's this one moment where the Rookie's looking over all of her schematics of the data, like all the crimes that are going on, like on a map, and every crime is like marked in red. So like the entire map is marked in red, except for like two places where it's like, oh, okay, we can only answer like 2% of these calls a day. So which one do you want to do? And so it's like getting you used to the universe. And I do like the fact, and I think that you need to start small for conflicts and you can also get a lot more out of these conflicts if you do start small and then gradually build them up. Not just like, okay, the world's in danger right now. Like just because it's like a very smaller film, you get more of these personal moments between Dredd and the Rookie. Just because like you see her views on life, you see his sort of mentality when it comes to dealing with crimes, and kind of like the Man with No Name, the less Dredd says, it doesn't actually take away his personality. In fact, there's a lot of personality he keeps just by not saying anything at all or just having his actions speak louder.
Right.
And the same thing with like I feel like comparatively to if they do make like larger films and more conflicts, then they can build on that. Where like Fellowship of the Rings, where it was much smaller. Yeah, there's like at most there was like a fight with like 17 guys. And then the next film is like hundreds, and then the next film is thousands. And, that's how I feel about this Dredd film. I mean, there's awesome, awesome action scenes in this. I love it. And just a very beautiful film as well, especially with the slow-mo scenes, which they have a narrative reason for the slow motion effects, which is awesome.
Yeah, I did like that. I like how it wasn't really overused either. It was like there are sections of the film where, like, narratively, it makes sense, and it looked pretty cool. Even some of them kind of drag on, but it does look nice. It's nice to look at some of those scenes, especially near the end.
And I gotta say, there are moments when slow-mo is used in the narrative where I was like, you know what? that would suck if you had to die while on that thing, just because it just will not end for you quickly. Just because everything is slowed down and just like, ooh, buddy, you better hope that someone finishes you off quickly, or else that's just a big pain in the ass.
Big pain. You wouldn't want to go through that if you're fighting someone of superior intellect or strength. Like if you're fighting Superman in slow motion, it's gonna be worse. You're gonna watch that fist coming towards you. Oh, I know it's coming. Just hurry up.
And I gotta say, I think Dredd would make an awesome video game. Like if maybe if the guys at, I think the people at Volition who did the Saints Row series, I think they and also the what's the space sci-fi series that they did? It's like they have a Miner on Mars. I'm trying to. Damn it! I'm a forgetful Freddy. Shoot. Anyway, it's just like the guys at Volition, I think, would make a really good open world Dredd game. I think they have they got the writing chops to do something, serious, but also inject a lot of personality and characteristics into all the people that they would include for a cast. And I would be very, very into seeing what they have to do, what they have to offer.
Are you talking about Red Faction?
Yes, I am.
Yes. I was thinking of it for a little bit. Yeah, it would make a pretty decent game. I could see it possibly working for maybe they could do some sort of episodic content with it.
Oh.
Like the way that Dredd is kind of like the way you can go about it. You can definitely do it in just kind of intermittent, like very short, like maybe an hour or two, an hour and a half segments of it. Like because it plays out like the movie. It's it's very simplistic. It almost seems like it would be like a short story. So I read some of the comic books, and it's a lot like that. It was very inspired from the comics, like in terms of its simplicity and just like another story that with just the character of Dredd involved. It's like there's nothing too like epic or anything that's gonna be it's trying to be more than it already is. But it's just one of those another day. It's like an episodic thing. It just feels like that.
Mm-hmm. It certainly feels focused, it feels reined in, it feels like, okay, here's just a slice of life and the best interpretation of what we can kind of surmise of what Dredd is. And I gotta say, I am sad that it did not do better in the theaters, but apparently it's done gangbusters at the home market, which makes me very, very happy, because I would love to see a sequel, just because I would love to see more about this universe. And I got to give 2 thumbs up. Karl Urban, damn it, that man does not smile throughout the entire thing, and he does not take off his helmet for any reason. Like they could have, like, I know I love the Amazing Spider-Man movie, but they have those scenes where Andrew Garfield obviously wanted to show off his face for it's like, okay, come on, I need this in my contract where I can actually show off what I've got, my pretty boyness. But with Karl Urban, he's just like, nope, I'm wearing this 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, and also it wouldn't be too true to the source material, because he's like that kind of guy who's more of a symbol than an actual just person. So having him remove the helmet all the time, like in the Stallone film, it just kind of ruined the whole illusion of what kind of person he is and what he looks like underneath, and all that mystery behind him.
Mm-hmm. He is completely about the law.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like, okay, like any sensible human being would just be like, especially at the end, where you're just like, okay, anyone who would be like, okay, you know what, the law can kind of bend in this case for this instance, but he'd be like, but at the end he's just, nope, gotta uphold the law, and it's like, I would be hesitant at first if I tried to do something like that, like, okay, faced with this moral quandary, I'd probably do something else. I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone.
Jaywalking, bullet to the legs.
Littering, I'm gonna tear out your kidney.
Yeah, he's almost like an anti-Batman.
Yeah, he's I think he's like if Batman wasn't such a no, I'm gonna say if Batman wasn't such a pussy, where it's just like okay, you know what, all these it's a world filled with crime. Literally every street corner has some sort of crime going on in it. Even like there's a guy loitering in the film. He's like, you better be gone by the time you get back, or I'm throwing you in jail. It's like he doesn't even let loiter he holds loitering on the same grounds as like murder. It's like this guy obviously just like he's basically the law. You don't need to know anything else about his character. You don't need to know, oh, he faced a great trauma in his past. Like, no, he's just the law.
Also, that guy, he definitely got his for not moving.
Yes, he did. Even I was like, oh, come on, he's homeless. He didn't deserve that.
He's trying to. The movie was the only message. It's like don't litter, and all that will happen to you.
Follow the law, or Carl Urban will fuck you up.
That's the tagline of the movie. That's how they should have marketed it. Would have done gangbusters.
And you know, it is. It really did feel violent. It's a violent film, but it felt natural to that universe. Whereas Neil Blomkamp's most recent film, Elysium, it felt sort of jaded and did not really work together with the violence that kind of ensued. Whereas in Dredd, where it's like the violence, yeah, it definitely fit just because of the subject matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely a good movie. I haven't seen it, and I don't even think it cost that much to make. So I mean, that goes to show you how much of a movie like that's very self-contained, and it doesn't cost that much. It can really entertain you. I think it was about $30 million, I believe. I think it was around that range, $30 million.
Well, I mean that's surprising. I mean that's the same thing. I think Neil Blomkamp's District 9, which I love that film, and I'm really really happy to see that. I think we can milk a lot more creativity. Like people who spend a lot more time in pre-production, have a very tight budget, and know what they want to show. That's going to be the future of Hollywood blockbusters. Just because this whole sort of huge sprawling budget for Bay sort of style films, I think that's going to be problematic, and it's not a sustainable model. And I would love to see a lot more creativity, and I think Hollywood is going to implode because of just how much money it's spending on franchises that it doesn't even know if they'll make any money. And with this, I'm glad that it's received such amount of respect. And they don't need huge actors. Like, the biggest actor in Dredd is Carl Urban. And no offense to Carl Urban, but nobody knows who the hell Carl Urban is. It's not Christian Bale. It's not even Simon Pegg. It's just like, okay, he's Carl Urban. And he's like the Frank Weller of our generation, I think, where he's just like, for the genre stuff that he does, people know him well. But everything else, he's just like, okay, no one really knows anything about him. He's like he's Bones in the Star Trek films. He's been in a
lot of things, like you said, that genre stuff. He was in I do remember he was in that Chronicles of Riddick movie.
Yep.
He was in that, and
Lord of the Rings.
That and Priest. He was in that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe some things are best forgotten.
Maybe that one. But yeah, things like movies like that, they're like the sort of the genre stuff that it makes a slightly bit of money, but it's not one of those. It's not the mainstream movies. He's not in a lot of those, but like every now and then he gets a break, like the Star Wars stuff. Not the Star Wars, Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about Star Wars there.
Hey, with the recent Star Trek films, you might as well have them be Star Wars right now.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with you on that one.
And it's strange too, because there was an interview where it was on the Daily Show where J.J. Abrams was talking. J.J. Abrams was being interviewed with Jon Stewart, and he was like, "Yeah, I was watching the original Star Trek stuff, and it's too philosophical for me, and so I just decided to make them for moviegoers." Like, okay, you know what? first thing, if you want people to trust you with the franchise, don't say it's too philosophical, because that makes you kind of look like an idiot. And it's just like, okay, you know what, Star Trek, maybe a little bit too sedate, but like there's got to be a better way than just saying it's too intellectual, because that is, I think, kind of the lamest excuse for not liking a product.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of Star Trek to know, but it's from what I've gathered, I guess like the original stuff, like the classics, are more about just like the exploration and just the mysteries of the galaxy, right?
Mm-hmm. It's but like, I've seen basically the Next Generation, some of the episodes of the old stuff, the Wrath of Khan. Not the entire library, because that would take ages, but from what I've seen, it's dealing a lot more with ideas of morality and humanity, and kind of ideas and contemplating on what somebody would do, and in this sort of universe, and being allegories for the real world. Then with the new film, it's just like lights, flashing, editing. Look at Zoe Saldana in her underwear. And then that's basically what the new films are about.
Lens flare.
Lens flare. Are you blind yet? You better be. And then, I forgot where I was going to go with that. But anyway, just from that to Dredd, from Dredd to Riddick, I think there's some fairly interesting sci-fi universes out there that can explore interesting subject matter without having to lose kind of the heart and soul of what makes them interesting. And that's how I felt about the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay, and that's how I felt about Dredd.
That's good to hear. And I guess since we're on the subject of movies, I would probably recommend this movie. I saw this movie on Netflix about a week ago. It's called Interview with a Hitman. So it's basically if you wanted a better version of the Hitman movie, this is as close as you're gonna get. I think it's a pretty good flick. It's about a young guy who he grew up around just kind of like around just hitmen, so he just kind of learned from them. And then the movie starts out where he's getting interviewed by someone, and you figure it's going to be just one of those basic action films, but it really wasn't a lot of action in it. It was more about the going through each phase of his life as a hitman, and it was a surprisingly good flick there, and it had a nice turnaround near the end, and I thought it was really good. So that's on Netflix. So if you want to go ahead and put that on your list, they don't call it The Queue anymore on Netflix. That I noticed. I got back into Netflix recently, and I just saw like, what happened to The Queue? What's this list thing?
It maybe it was just like watching you watch interviews with the hitman, and it just said like, oh, okay, like here's your contract list. Like it's not The Queue anymore. Maybe it just like adjusts to what you watch. Maybe if you watch like a movie about like biblical stuff, it'll turn like, here's your scroll selection. My scroll? Yes, your scroll right here.
But fortunately, I was able to just use the same like login. So like most of the stuff I had in my queue was still there. So I just been kind of perusing some just random stuff on there. But I think that movie was a direct to DVD. But it was it's definitely a quality flick. It stars I forgot his name. I think it's the actor's name, Luke Goss. He's in a couple of the direct DVD stuff, but I thought he did a pretty good job at the role. He was in the Death Race sequels. Death Race 2, which I hear is better than the remake with Jason Statham.
Ooh, okay.
It's got what is it? I haven't seen it, but it's got Machete. Danny Trejo's in that one.
Ooh,
Ving
Luke
Rhames,
Goss.
Ving Rhames is in that.
Yeah. Well, Ving Rhames is like Danny Trejo. No matter what he's in, I'll just be like, well, he's in it, so I got at least watch a little bit of it. Come on.
Yeah, definitely. So, I definitely would at least recommend putting it on the list if you ever get the chance to see it. It's a pretty decent flick. It has like I mentioned, it's almost as close as of a Hitman movie that you'll get. That's actually I think a bit more better than the Hitman movie, which as much as I love the Hitman series, I mean that movie wasn't. If you just see that movie on its own and don't associate it with the Hitman series, it's a decent action movie. Nothing too special there, but I think this flick, the interview with the Hitman, gets kind of close to almost mirroring the Hitman series. Like definitely, there's a scene where he meets a girl. It's almost the same as that other movie, but it was less awkward. But
okay.
Since he's grown up, killing people, he doesn't have much of any kind of social interactions with chicks. So they go through that process. So I thought that was interesting.
Do they play Ave Maria while he's firing guns slowly in the air?
Oh, I wish.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's not Hitman Blood Money, but it'll do.
It'll do. It's not too much action in it, but there are about 3-4 maybe scenes of action. But yeah, it's mostly about the story. It's not really. I thought it was going to be just one of those balls to the wall action films that you would get on at the clearance bin, but it turned out to be actually a decent flick. I did like that. I like getting surprised on Netflix. Like I just like watching movies, good or bad. So like just anything that I stumble upon on there, I might as well watch it since I'm, paying a monthly fee. I might as well watch something on there. Like
exactly.
Like just a variety of things. Like there's this movie, I haven't seen it, but I have it in my queue. The Tire. It's like it's just a tire rolling around everywhere and killing people.
Is that that's the horror movie with the rampaging tire.
Yeah, I want to see it.
No, is it Rubber?
Yeah, Rubber.
Oh. Excellent. I need to see myself that film.
Yeah, it's in my queue, so I'm probably gonna watch it after we got off of here. I gotta see what this is about. That and another like this horror movie called ATM. I thought it was a decent flick as well. It's nothing special, but it's just these group of these two guys and a girl that go into an ATM. So basically, it's they have these cars that are kind of, these doors are magnetically locked. So if they have one of those one of those cars, are going to get their cash out. So the only way they can open it is by swiping the card. So as they're in there, they notice this guy outside the ATM, and just out of nowhere, this other guy comes by to go ahead and I guess get some cash, or because it was like taking place during like the winter, so it was kind of freezing there, and the mysterious guy just all of a sudden starts killing him, and then they're inside the ATM just watching, so they can't decide whether he's gonna run out of there or just stay in there. So that whole movie just takes place at that ATM. And it was good. I liked that. It had an interesting ending there as well. So I think like a lot of what he does, it may seem awkward, and how you always yelling at the screens like, get out of there, why are you just staying in there? You do all that, and then like by the end you're like, all right, I think it makes sense why they stayed in there and why the killer was outside, and a lot of it that you think it's pretty strange that the characters do. It makes sense near the end.
It would be like with the they put in the ATM, the credit card in the ATM, and they just like are trying to leave. Like, why won't you leave? Because my card's still in there, and it takes a 10% draw if I don't get it out tonight.
Yes, that's the twist to the movie there. That's why they stayed in there for so long.
They go to a Bank of America. The twist. He's a Capital One member.
Oh man, this is like some sort of
twist
propaganda against the Visa or something.
Oh boy, I'm liking more and more the fact that we've got like these avenues like Hulu and Amazon and Netflix that are giving us some more indie stuff and more and not indie stuff, like more options and choices, and they're like they don't have as much budget, obviously, as kind of the big channels or corporations for their stuff. But what they lack in that, they like make up in creativity. They don't have commercials. They don't have they're not restricted by kind of the stereotypical guidelines of like shows. Like for instance, Orange is the New Black has become like a really big hit success for Netflix. Yeah. And that's like basically an all-female show about women in prison, except it's not like a skin sort of like a sexploitation sort of thing going on, and which is sad on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, okay, that it's nice that they got like that they don't have to resort to having women play the background roles or have them play just like stereotypical roles like that they would have in terms of like a prison drama. And I haven't seen it yet, but I have gotten from good word on one of my female friends that it is actually fantastic, and I will be more than happy to sit down and watch it.
Yeah, they're definitely upping their game with a lot of the original content that they have on there, and posting all the episodes at once of the season for that show, like House of Cards and just that show in general. I think that's how they have it structured for that show as well. Just having available all the episodes for that season.
Mm-hmm.
So you can definitely marathon your way if you really get into it.
I love that. I can't. I don't think I could do that anymore. Just like sitting through and waiting for next week to come back with whatever. It's like even if like I will be sitting down and like, okay, I got to go to a meeting or something like that, and I'm really into the show. I can at least know I can come back and sit right down and continue where I left off. I don't think I can really go. I don't remember the last time I sat down watching a TV for a narrative show or a comedy show that I didn't immediately want to see the next episode of and then wasn't able to. Like the only exceptions I can think of are like Daily Show and the Colbert Report, where they're just like, okay, they're because they're basically news. It's a news show, so they need to be topical. And I'm very, very happy with what they got on Netflix, and they got a new Ricky Gervais show. I'm not sure what it is, but it's just like him smiling like a creepy little gremlin, and I'm not sure if I'm interested in it or not, or if I'm just creeped out. What is it? What is it? What is it?
I can't say that I can't see that I've seen it, but if I do end up watching it, I'll probably let you know about it. Yeah, it's like speaking of Netflix, since we're on that. So, have you ever has Netflix ever gotten right the guess that the rating you'll give a movie or a TV show? You know how you hover over it, it'll give you like our best guess to if you like this movie or not.
Oh yes. There have been times where they've been completely dead wrong, and then sometimes where they've been very, very right. I think it's a computerized system that's getting it all underway and trying to figure out, okay, what do you like, what do you don't like, what genres do you enjoy?
Yeah, just based off what you review and what you watch. So I think it's gotten it right so far, because I was looking at some other things, like I was looking through Steven Seagal movies, and it said like each one I looked over is like 3 or 4 stars. Like, yeah, Netflix, you know me.
Yeah. It for the longest time I thought that was like the actual score, and like not just like what they recommend. Like I didn't see the recommend for you. I was like, okay, maybe it was just for me. I was like, wow, these are a lot of high ratings for my quote unquote list. Like, I don't get that. Like, oh, that's because it thinks what I would like. Okay, I got you, Mr. Netflix. So it got like it gave me like a 4.5 star review for when they had a lot of the James Bond, like they just took off the James Bond stuff, but they had like From Russia with Love with a 4.5 stars. Like, okay, you know me, and the Cary Grant movie Charade, where it's like, okay, you guys definitely know me, and then they had like a 4-star like review for Transformers 3: Dark of the Moon. I was like, no, you're just wrong. I'm sorry, but nowhere close.
Was it April Fool's?
I wish it was April Fool's. There was like for April Fool's they had that the day where it was just like one of their lists was like threatening men who are like have to deal with children. It's like Bill Goldberg, Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, and like they're like they have to be like nannies, like that sort of genre. It's like, okay, I love you, Dwayne Johnson, but there's only some things I can really stomach you in. And you can't do this ever again. Like, I don't want to see another Tooth Fairy.
Oh no.
God help you.
Another Tooth Fairy or that other movie.
Escape from Witch Mountain?
Yeah.
That was bad.
An unnecessary remake of a film that I don't think it was even good to begin with.
Nope. But it's like, hey, it's a franchise. It doesn't matter if it was good or not. If it made some sort of money, if it has name recognition to some people, then we're gonna make it. And of course, it's gonna be Disney because screw you.
I'm upset that they don't have the original Total Recall. I was in the mood of watching it yesterday. I watched a little bit of the remake, and then it just made me want to watch the original. I was like, God damn it. Len Wiseman's got to mess this up.
Hey, Benny, screw you!
I mean, you gotta love Arnold. Like, I mean, anyone who's seen Arnold Schwarzenegger
he's got charisma.
Movies, he may not be the best actor, but he makes it up with charisma and just the way he delivers lines. Like, if that role in Total Recall was played by anybody else, it wouldn't have as been a hit as it is. It's like just the way he delivers lines is just amazing.
He is. I think people just naturally assume because he was in that era with Sylvester Stallone that he's just a big lunkhead, only good for action films. But he's surprisingly charming. And, like, I know this is a dark admittance, but, like, even his role in Batman, was it Batman Forever as Mr. Freeze?
Yeah.
I liked it just because it was so cheesy and so corny. Of course, it's not at all perfectly representing the Batman universe, but it's just like, that film was a comedy. It was not an action film, and if you just treated it as such, it was damn funny. Just because it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, I do kind of go into that state of mind when I ever watch that film. Yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, I don't know what you would think of that, but I thought, I mean, if it wasn't for the movie being so bad, just for the way they came out and just the representation of Batman, I think I would say that George Clooney would be up there as one of the best Batmans. I think he did a good job as Batman in that movie. It's just like that performance was tainted because of that film was just so cheesy.
Yeah, and also bat nipples.
Cheesiest of all, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing I feel about Ben Affleck and Daredevil. I actually liked Daredevil. I don't think it was a good enough movie to warrant a sequel, but it was just like, okay, it's a fine movie, especially the director's cut. The director's cut is much better. Like,
that's what I hear, yeah.
It's one of those FX movies where you see a movie on FX, it's not exactly the greatest thing, but hey, it's on FX and you watch like, okay, I didn't hate myself for wasting that time.
I've been trying to reboot or remake that movie for a while, huh? And the last I've heard about it was they were going to have Jason Statham in the role, but I don't know.
Why Jason Statham?
I don't know. He's the the action guy right now.
But it's like, okay, we need a guy who can pull off a New York accent with hair. Why the hell would they pick Jason Statham?
That'd be my choice. I want to see him do a New York accent.
I could see maybe Jason Statham doing the Kingpin. Like, that would be like a role for him. Of course, he's not exactly as big as Michael Clark Duncan was in the film, but it's still like, okay, you know what? I don't see, a lot of these characters just like, okay, come on, like, and also I did like Michael Clark Duncan's performance as the Kingpin. I thought it was deliciously evil, and also the fact that I really liked Colin Farrell. I liked his performance as Bullseye just because of the fact that he's just this knavish little imp who just loves destruction and malice. And, like, you don't need to know anything about his past. Like, okay, he's just this guy who throws stuff really, really well, and that's all.
He gets upset
just like
because he misses
glass shards and pinpricks. He'll get you.
Yeah, I mean, Colin Farrell is one of those actors. He's better in comedic roles than just straight up action movies. Like in Bruges, he's amazing, and in Bruges.
Yeah, in Bruges. And like I saw him in Alexander, and that was it felt like the same thing to me as Alec Baldwin when he was trying to go really, really serious. It's like, dude, when you're funny, that's great. Just like you're able to take it to a level, like you can still have action in your films. You can still be kind of the action protagonist. Just like be funnier. Just like do what Robert Downey Jr. does right now with Tony Stark. Just like be funny as well as action oriented. You can do both.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so, getting away from all of that, do we have any more video game related questions or news topics?
I mean, other than that, I was gonna bring up that little tidbit on Riddick, and just something that I glanced over a little bit. The Assassin's Creed Liberation game that was on the Vita is getting an HD touch up there for the current it's going to come out from PSN, the Xbox Live, and the PC. So if you didn't play the Vita version of that, that's coming to
cool
to a console near you.
Well, I really do like the fact that it's not a renaissance, but there's now a certain type of trend where very popular handheld games are now coming over to the console with some HD cleanups, where we had Resident Evil Revelations come on out, and then we had this coming up right now, where we have some interesting developments. I don't know.
They did that as well with Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker.
Oh yeah,
I mean, enough of these games that are out for the mobile gaming market are kind of garnering enough buzz about them that they port them over to the consoles. I mean, I didn't play Revelations. I played the demo of it, but it seemed like it would be a pretty kind of true to form, close to Resident Evil 4. But I wasn't a huge fan of the shooting. I thought it didn't feel right for me. Maybe it was the demo, or maybe it wasn't the final version. But yeah, the shooting didn't feel right. Like the enemies wouldn't react as good as you like them to when they get shot. When you get shot, it's like they're just standing there and like absorbing these bullets like nothing, and all of a sudden they just collapse. They got a stroke or something.
I wonder what I still would like to see. It's strange because we have Vice City and Grand Theft Auto 3 for the iOS, but we still haven't seen a digital one for consoles. I mean, we have San Andreas, but I got to say, I still loves me some for Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I still think that's the best one out there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would say they haven't done any type of HD ports to them, but they do. I know for the Xbox 360, I think they just take the same game from the Xbox and just have it available on the Xbox Live market, so that it actually plays on there. I don't know how well those games play on the 360. If I know that you can play some Xbox games, and you put the disc in the 360 and you can play them, I think. But I don't know how well they function there. If there's any kind of issues with it, I know that there's a couple of the classic Xbox games available on the market for the 360. I never really bothered to try any of them out.
Yeah, the only one that I've downloaded, well, the only ones I've downloaded are Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which actually is very, very well done for the digital download sphere, and then the other one, which is Metal Arms Glitch in the System, which has some texture pop-in, some artifacts issues, but so far it's a damn good game, and they do well, and I still think that they're sort of the GTA 3 level era is still the best sort of written Grand Theft Autos and the best sort of tonally, and I'm really looking forward to it. And at the same time, I am looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 5, and I hope I hope it's as I hope it is as good as Vice City and San Andreas was, because I wasn't really a big happy person with Grand Theft Auto 4 and or The Lost and Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony. I think they got the two downloadable episodes. I thought they were nice, but which also would be a nice model to have for the Dread episodic content for like if they do make a Dread game, but also just I like them, but I just don't think they were as good as as the previous installments.
I did like the things that I did like about those episodes from Liberty City is that they tweaked a couple things in terms of the checkpoint system, and also just how they handle when you fail a mission. Like, you don't have to just go all the way and start the mission up again from the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
I think it it takes you back to where you were before you died. The checkpoint that started. I did like that about it, because that's what I had a problem with 4. It's just having to drive back from the hospital to start the mission of it. You got to hear the dialogue again, and then you got to drive to the point where you messed up, and just it was just a hassle.
Yeah.
Like, one of the issues I usually have with open world games, usually by getting around, is not the most funnest part about doing it. If you're really get into the main missions, that's why I liked a lot. That's what I liked a lot about Saints Row 4, because it was fun getting from place to place.
And if it's still a fairly relevant TV spot where they had it was a Saints Row 2 TV ad where it was basically making fun of Grand Theft Auto 4. And one of the main points they have is like, would you rather do this or do this? Which, like, the comparison and where they kind of did this. And one of them that really struck me as like, yeah, that's actually really interesting. Where it's like, would you rather like call up your friends and like go to dress up in whatever and like spray random civilians with a septic truck, or would you rather watch TV while you're playing TV? Like, yeah, I think the guys over at Rockstar were trying to have like this air of like, wow, look at how much stuff we can do in here. It's like bowling, pool. You mean the shit that I can do in real life? The things that I won't get in trouble for doing? I don't want to do that. I want to do stuff that will obviously get me in trouble, but I can get away with because it's not real world.
Yeah, they seem to have that some of that in mind here with the new one. I have not seen much of in terms of gameplay. I know there's a couple of streams now. They're actually, people who have the game early actually streaming the game. So yeah. I have not taken a look at any of that, just to kind of preserve my mental state, just to absorb all the other goodness that's going to be going on there when I load that up. And I've only seen slight, quick snippets of it. Some people have been posting videos on Instagram. So I saw a 5-second video of someone driving and running over somebody. So that's all I needed to see there. It's almost on the same level of detail as LA Noire was, but it looks like it's got better driving.
Yeah.
So that looks promising. So that's all I really seen.
Mm-hmm. The big it's funny, just like you see a 5-second clip. It's like, no, that's too much. I know too much already. And I did hear one spoiler that apparently is in the game. And that spoiler made me very angry. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's about the story, and I don't want to say anything else.
Oh, man.
It's not about the main story, but there's something that happens where I just was like, are you kidding me? I'm not even going to say it. Like, just because I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody who might be listening and does not want to hear about what's going on. But, the big problem... Yeah. I'm sorry?
Now I'm curious. I gotta find this out after the.
No, don't. you don't ruin it for yourself like I did. It's.
But I mean, from what you can say, was it something in terms of dialogue, or what you actually doing? Was it?
It's story.
Okay.
It's something that happens that I was. It was like the best part of Grand Theft Auto 4, and they kind of spit in the face of it. I don't want to say if it's a character or if it's an event or if it's a story element, but they do something that made me really angry. I was like, come on. That did not need to happen. And then they did it, and then I was like, oh, apparently it did need to happen from their point of view. And it didn't. Don't listen. They're liars. It did need to happen. And but the problem is I have not seen the video. I don't want to see anything else. I can't say anything else. Anyway,
all right, it's fine.
Grand Theft Auto 5 looks very interesting. I'm very interested in seeing what they do with Los Santos. I like the fact. First off, I like the fact that it's a fictional world, a fictional sort of setting, rather than just having like New York City replaced with different street names, which I did not like from Grand Theft Auto 4. Which, like, okay, that takes no creativity whatsoever. And you can utilize utilizing the entire space of the world. That's creative, but just actually creating the world I did not like, because it's not your own creation. It's just a repeat of real life, and I did not thoroughly enjoy that as much as I would. And then, I hope it's good. That's all I can really say. I don't know a lot about it, but it also seems weird that they're using the same 3 archetypes that they kind of go back to consistently, where it's like Trevor, who's the crazy psychopath, which is kind of like the GTA 3 Claude Speed sort of character, where it's like, okay, they're just there for destroying stuff, or Franklin, who is the gangbanger who wants to escape his roots and be more, which is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and then Michael, who's the sort of professional hitman who's coming back into it, which is Vice City. Mm-hmm. And I just want them to try something new in terms of kind of the character motivations, or I'm sorry, the type of archetype that they have. Like, and there was a recent article that they had talking about, like, okay, why can't... And sometimes this conversation is appropriate, sometimes it's not, which is, why isn't the main character a female? And for Grand Theft Auto, they didn't have to say, like, oh, because this, we're very sensitive because of this, and that. They just need to say, okay, we didn't really, see the need to have it because we didn't really want that. But what they said was like, oh, this is all about masculinity, so we had to have it to be men in order to actually convey that idea. And I just thought to myself, that's not true. You can convey, like, one of that even if it is a female protagonist, she can have it where she's dealing with the masculinity of both her, kind of maybe herself, and of her male partner, who's like going through this and like trying to deal with him. Like, maybe she's married and she has to deal with the masculinity of her husband.
That, but or maybe against the world, or her job position, something like that.
Exactly, and it felt really, I don't know, like last minute sort of logic. Like, we don't really actually have a good reason, except for the fact that we don't want to get in trouble. So, yeah, and I'm sorry?
No, I think it is possible to have a female character in some way, shape, or form, whether it be in the main story or something that is a spin-off using the same gameplay, like the episodes from Liberty City. They could definitely do something like that. Just take like the sort of the Tarantino route, like with that one of the Grindhouse films. Like, it was mostly a female cast, and I mean, Rockstar definitely has the writing chops to write something for those for those characters to kind of make it seem like it's make it seem like it's logical for that to be in this series of games, because it's mostly been, like you said, mostly been male characters for those Grand Theft Auto games. I mean, I think the females can get as crazy as the guys in that series.
Of course. And what I found very interesting is that I played through again, or at least I started to play through again, of Saints Row 4 with a female character who is the French accented one. And it's just so funny, because I thought, I was like, okay, it would be great if there was a female president who's the president of the United States, who is obviously French, and no one questions that. And they actually re-record all the dialogue so it makes sense with that voice actor. And I thought it was like they're basically writing 7 different characters whenever they sit down to write all this dialogue out.
Wow.
And because they change around a lot of things, like almost every single dialogue option. Like, there's she does a lot more French culture specific dialogue, and Nolan North, of course, if you choose his voice, he makes a lot of references to his own history as a voice actor. And then I just think that, I don't know, I don't like the fact that they seemed so dismissive of the idea of having a female kind of protagonist in a crime game, especially when in Saints Row you basically can do that and it make just as much sense as like a male character in that league.
Yeah. So did they have any type of Nolan North equivalent for the female voice like Jennifer Hale?
Oh no,
that would have been cool.
I would have loved that, or I can't remember
Strong.
Courtney Taylor, who did Cortana. Like maybe she's like, man, the Chief was never like this. But I wish they did, but they don't. They just have like Nolan North. But that's even the best part, where you could have any character you want, and it still make a hell of a lot of sense. Where they have they have almost every single type of character you could ever want, and it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it just comes down. It just comes down to writing. You can make anything logical if you're a good writer.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I didn't primarily enjoy Grand Theft Auto 4. Like, I thought the city was beautiful, the physics engine was awesome, the gameplay was good, not so hot on the driving, but whatever. But just the writing was very problematic from the get-go in terms of kind of the tone that they wanted with the city tone that they had. It's a satirical world, so if it's a world full of satire, then how am I supposed to take anything, have anything make sense and make it feel serious? Whereas in Saints Row, they find that balance very, very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking of actually replaying that a little bit before 5, and then I was watching gameplay footage of it online. I was like, never mind. It's like I never was a fan of the just getting around, or just I never liked the shooting of the game. It never felt right to me, which I'm really liking about from what I've heard for 5. They're taking just the core elements of the shooting from Max Payne 3, which I definitely like that. Like just pointing and shooting. That's all I care about. I think if it works, it works. I never like the lock on stuff. I like the free aim and things like that. But they seem to have that going for 5s. Like they always do. They always take the best parts from the past games they worked on and put it into Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean they've come a long way from Grand Theft Auto 4 as well. So.
Oh yeah.
It's not like, what was it, like 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, and they had Red Dead Redemption and Max Payne 3 to kind of help deal with the process, and I do wonder how that's going to work in motion, and I'd love to see what they have to offer up there in terms of the shooting mechanics, just because I would love to see if what they have left to offer.
Yeah, that's very close here, man. It's
on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yep.
I never gone to a midnight launch or anything?
I have very rarely, but I have definitely. I did so for Mass Effect 3. I did so for Dead Space 2.
Nice.
It's the games that I'm so hyped about that I put my rose tinted glasses on, where it's like, okay, I know I'm gonna love this game no matter what, because I will go crazy if I don't.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had that sort of feeling. I'm with 5. I am excited for it, but it's like since I've not seen or read a lot about it, it's more of a hopefully a pleasant mystery there. I'm sure it's going to be great, but I'm just so cut off from any type of information on it. I know a couple of things, but I've never seen anything in motion like I said before with any gameplay footage or anything like that. I think the last thing I was really hyped about was like Hitman Absolution, because it was a long way in between Blood Money and Absolution, and just seeing early stuff. I've seen and read about it so many things about Absolution before it came out, so I was definitely excited for that. I didn't do a midnight launch for it, but I was just excited for it to come out after so many years in between Blood Money, which I love a lot.
Yeah, they really need to. The franchise really needs to prove itself and consistently prove itself for me to be really, really hyped and excited for. Which is, why I will always get excited for a Halo game, because I know it's like, wow, okay, no matter what, you guys have always got my approval, whether it be at Bungie or 343 now that they've got they got Halo 4 under their belt and they're working on Halo 5. But it's with Grand Theft Auto 5, it is that weird sort of middle ground where I don't know what place they have in they're obviously the kind of big kahunas, and they're the ones who started the open world crime games, but I don't know what sort of relevancy they have anymore, because Saints Row does the comedy stuff. They do satire really well, but they also don't rely on the sledgehammer approach to humor, which is what I think Grand Theft Auto 5 does. I'm sorry, not 5. Grand Theft Auto 4, but 5 remains to be seen. But outside of that, 4 I was not big, really happy about. But then you have like open world games like Sleeping Dogs and Mafia 2 that really do like more serious crime games, and very, very well. Like, okay, there are some really silly parts in Sleeping Dogs, but it's still kind of a more serious game about the triads and trying to be an undercover. And then with with Grand Theft Auto 4, they try to have their cake and eat it too, and it doesn't work.
And certainly since, certainly around these days, I think a good amount of people are not really, whenever it comes to Saints Row, like they've become kind of their own thing. They're not all, since like after, I would say maybe the second one or the third one, now a lot of people are saying it's a Grand Theft Auto clone, which it's not a term I would use for any type of open world game, because a lot of open world games have just taken the fundamentals of what they've originally started out with and just made it their own.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the first Saints Row was definitely a Grand Theft Auto imitation, where it tried to fill that hole that was not there. Like at the time, Grand Theft Auto 4 had not emerged, so they tried to kind of capitalize on their absence. But then, like with 2, it's like, okay, you know what? People really liked our comedy in the game, so let's focus on that. And so they had kind of this sort of ridiculous runabout about this crazy customizable character who, ran a gang, and that who apparently could survive anything. The third one is like, okay, now that we got that sort of groundwork laid out, let's do an art style that really fits us and a universe that really works well. And they did that, and then I think 4 is their kind of perfected model of everything.
Yeah, I love 4. The game's a lot of fun.
Flying around is fun.
Yeah, it's the definition of fun. It's Saints Row 4. I need to go back and replay that. I haven't replayed it since I've beaten it, because I've just been playing other games that I had. Like after that, I played Blacklist and just other games as well, like Killer is Dead. I did recently too.
How is Killer is Dead?
Killer is Dead. It's hard for me to summarize it. If I were to write a report on it, like just what happens in the story, I cannot tell you a damn thing. It's one of the most. I know that Suda51's story is like most of it is incoherent, but at least I can tell you what happened in Shadows of the Dam. But with Killer is Dead, I can't tell you anything. I don't know what's going on. Just things happen. It's so odd, but
that sounds like Killer 7.
Like regardless of that, I mean, I like the gameplay is fun. I like the art style, and those are the 2 strongest points of the game. It's a good hack and slash. It's nowhere near the levels of like Bayonetta or maybe the recent Devil May Cry, but it doesn't have like a combo system or anything. You're mainly just tapping the X button, but they mix it up a lot in terms of like the enemy types you'll fight. So you have to mix up your strategies a lot, either just slashing enemies from behind or using your different weapons you have, like that can break their guard. Because if you do the same move on an enemy for too much, they'll just start blocking it. So you have to either go behind them and give them a few slashes there, or use one of your other weapons, like a cannon, or maybe a freeze gun that you can use on faster enemies. You can slow them down, get a couple of hits on them, or just a drill that breaks the defenses when they start blocking you. So there's a lot of diversity in terms of that in order to make the combat flow a little bit better than just your standard mashing of buttons. But
Well,
it's definitely worth a shot. It's definitely got some weird.
It's got some hot. Kids got moxie.
It's got some weird moments as well. Like there's this mini game where you romance chicks, and all you're doing is just putting on, they get extra points. You put your glasses on, you can see through their clothes. It's strange. It doesn't make. I mean, it makes sort of sense with the character Mondo. He's like he's an assassin in James Bond, but that's really all about it. I mean, you do get rewards for doing it, but it's like I just see no reason for me to keep doing this. It seems like they're just kind of hamming it in here with sexing the game up some more, but yeah. Other than that, like the characters aren't very. Like the other side characters aren't very memorable. They never really get into their backstory or anything. It's just more about like each chapter you play is kind of a new hit. So you're always killing different people. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's a couple of good lines of dialogue here and there. There's definitely a lot of the breaking of the fourth wall. Like you're about to fight with one of the bosses, and they're talking about, it's like, why don't you just join my side here? We'll rule the world. And then the main character's like, no, I'm not going to do that. That will just that's going to upset the gamers. They want to see action, something like that. So there's definitely some of that there. There's some good writing in here and there in terms of dialogue, but in story, I can't tell you what happens. I gotta look at Wikipedia to make some sense, and even then, I don't know if people on Wikipedia can make any sense of what happens.
Is it just like on Wikipedia? It's like synopsis. It's just like a giant question mark.
Yeah, I guess that would be it. That's what I would put in there if I'm going to contribute to what the story is.
It sounds like at the very least, Killer is Dead is an interesting experience. It
is. I like it better than Shadows of the Damned, but I know they're two different games. But I had more of a fun time with that than Shadows of the Damned. Shadows of the Damned had some really annoying parts into it, like in terms of gameplay. It's like, I gotta keep doing this until I get it right. But with The Killer is Dead, it's never really difficult. I know there's some harder difficulties you can play it as. I don't know if they mix anything up in terms of the difficulty, like Devil May Cry does. Maybe making enemies, maybe putting in stronger enemies in the beginning or something like that. I don't know. I've just been playing it on the normal mode, and it seems like it's pretty, and it's never too tough or frustrating. It's challenging enough, just from what I mentioned before in terms of the enemy types that they throw in there to kind of throw you in for a loop. But yeah, there's that, and I like the art style. It's like watching one of those animes you'd see on the Adult Swim, just the art style.
Oh, cool.
It's cool. I like the art style. I'm a big fan of cell shading, and just nice to see colors in the video game.
Colors in a video game? Are you crazy?
I mean, this is why we wanted HD, like especially for Nintendo games, just to see all the glorious colors on the screen.
Mm-hmm. But how can you? But what about the gray and brown? Don't you feel sad that they're getting left out?
They definitely are vital for type of games like that, for dramatic games. I mean, the gray or brown can work sometimes, like Fallout. I mean, I think they make use of that for that game, because just for the way its setting is post-apocalyptic, so I wouldn't expect too much rainbows and Lucky Charms.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, everything.
I mean, surprisingly, the music for Fallout is more optimistic than the actual world we're living in. I guess it's in there on purpose, just to maybe up the morale a bit. Running into raiders and cannibals is you gotta make it through the day. If you get some Frank Sinatra playing, I think you'll have more of a positive outlook on life before you get chopped off.
We tried to do in the game testing stages. We realized that most of our players committed suicide after the first hour, so we decided to put in some old classic big band and swing music.
Yeah, that and just the other radio stations that go on there. But yeah, if you can get Killer is Dead for maybe about $30, I think it's worth the checking out. if you're in the mood for a hack and slash, I think it's a decent enough hack and slash. It's not as good as Bayonetta, but I mean it's.
But then again, what is?
Way. No, nothing is. I love Bayonetta.
Exactly. Bayonetta 2 might make me go buy a Wii U just for that.
Yeah, I've considered it many times.
Yeah, it's honestly good to get a good hack and slasher these days. That's original doesn't really. It's not a franchise game as much as I love Devil May Cry, the new one. I'd like to see something new, and I hope that. I was looking forward to this one because Suda51 always brings those weird sort of gameplay types that scratches the itch that I've got. But now it's $30. I'll just wait for it to come down a little bit more, and then I'll go get it.
Yeah, I would suggest that. It's definitely from what I said. It's definitely if you're in the mood for a hack and slash, it's definitely worth getting into. And just if you're a big fan of cell shading like I am, I think you'll quite like it. It's nice to look at.
Absolutely. Cell shading is, I think, a very underutilized art expression in video games, and I think it's just been getting a bad rap because it was just, when it first came on the scene with Wind Waker, I think, or most popularized with Wind Waker, it just got a bad rap for being kiddie-oriented and not really, good for games. And then there was, and also with the Ang Lee Hulk video game adaptation, which is, it didn't do any favors there. So yeah, it.
Yeah, so I've been playing that recently, and I just that. That's what the games I've been playing since we last spoke here. Just Blacklist, Saints Row 4, and Killer is Dead, and some Deadly Premonition every Friday because I do Deadly Fridays where I stream Deadly Premonition every Friday, and I'm getting close to the end of that game, which is kind of sad about because I love exploring that world. So I may do more side quests. I just realized how much I despise the wall monsters, especially when you're playing the game new and you just have your basic handgun. Oh,
yep,
that's brutal.
It's I'm gonna die. Yeah,
those tedious fights in that game was that wall monster. It's like you fight like 3 of them in a row. And it's like a good 30 minutes of you just shooting that thing.
Yeah.
Unless you have a shotgun, it goes by a bit quicker. But yeah, it's not the most. It's not the game has has those kinds of parts in it. But I mean, like we mentioned before in the past, like the story, like I never, with the game, if the story is really good, and I'm willing to overlook the gameplay. If the gameplay is really good, it's the opposite of that. I'm willing to overlook the story.
This depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, that one is a perfect example there. So, and also the segments where you're walking, like those dream segments you have with York as a young child. Like, God damn, that took so long. I didn't realize how long that took. Especially he's walking like 1 mile an hour. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
When you're playing it again, you definitely realize kind of little eccentricities that you didn't catch before because you're just enjoying the world so much the first time around.
Yeah, so I'm at the part of the clock tower. So it's the segment where you play as Emily, and you go ahead to rescue York. So I'm at that point. Since the last stream I did was on yesterday, so I'm enjoying that, and I need to start replaying some of those other games I have like Blacklist and things like that. I haven't gone back to it because I've been playing the newer games that I purchased, so I need to get back into Blacklist. I like Blacklist a lot. I know we mentioned that we were going to talk about it a little bit. I mainly wanted to talk about the ending, but it's hard to really say without spoiling it. The ending wasn't bad, but it's like I was kind of I was left a little bit unsatisfied in terms of just like the way it ended. It seemed like it was It seemed like it could have been something a bit more, but it seemed like it was very simplistic, which I guess in some respects it makes sense for the way you go about the fight at the end. I think it worked well for the series. It kind of reminded me of that boss fight in Double Agent.
Yeah, with
a meal for the Xbox, PlayStation 2 and GameCube version. It reminded me a lot of that.
Yep. It was one of those like you got to hide. You don't have any gadgets. You just kind of rely on your ability to kind of get into cover and to hide yourself well and kind of avoid detection. Sort of the staple marks of the series. But the narrative ending, I thought it was a bit abrupt, and I thought they could have.
I think that's the best way to put it. Yeah.
It was fine ending. I just wish that they would have focused a lot more on the character of Sadiq.
Yeah, I think so. He's a little bit almost close to not as much as Voss was in Far Cry 3, where he was barely in the game, but he was in it enough. But I think if they were giving him more scenes, I think it would have been a bit more of a satisfying resolution. When you fight him, I think it would have been a lot more satisfying. But I like the actor who plays him. He was Chloe's husband or ex-husband in 24.
Oh yeah.
Morris O'Brien, I think. Yeah, he was good. I thought he was good in 24, and he was good in this. But yeah, they could have given him a bit more to work with. But yeah, that was interesting. I like some of the stuff that it just comes out of nowhere. I don't think you could. I don't think you can not do it. It's like the Fifth Freedom stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The things that Briggs does later.
Yeah, the one with Briggs and the one later with Sam. I think there's 2 or 3 instances of that, and also just other instances of whether you kill or not kill a guy. I don't think it really matters either or. I know the first time it happens, the guy ends up getting killed anyway. I think he shoots himself.
Yeah.
There's that, and I'm trying to remember what else, but there are definitely a couple of moments like that.
A lot of them are just like spare or kill.
Yeah, spare or kill, and you can tell. I remember, I think we did talk about it a while back, and it was a news topic I probably brought up. Like they took out the interrogation scenes, like they replaced them with just the cutscenes, so you didn't have really control over any of the type of the interrogations that was going on, like much like in Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it was just played out through cutscenes, and then just that either spare or kill thing.
Yeah.
I guess they got flack for it being too graphic, which I didn't think it was that graphic enough to take it out, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal, but the ending was, I felt abrupt, but it wasn't bad. It's just I felt a little bit. I felt like they could have done more with it. And that goes back to what you mentioned before, whether I like Chaos 2 better or Blacklist better. And I know there's two very different games, but I did as much as people harp on Conviction. I did like the personal story for Sam. I think that's what really made Conviction a lot better than the past games.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that I did like that. As much as I think you and I always bring up the story and the characters of the game, and that's what really stands out in terms of those games for me. Anyways, Chaos Theory, Conviction, and Double Agent, and those other games. And yeah, most of those have been just more about the mission than actual characters. You get little character interactions there, and they really do a good job in the dialogue and making those characters mean something. And in those games that are not as personal, like Conviction or Double Agent was, like Chaos Theory, that's what they did well. The interactions between the characters, and just it was more about the actual mission that's going on in order just to kind of prevent a World War III. That was more important than the actual, focusing on the main characters. It wasn't doing like anything like in terms
personally
of
at stake,
Mass Effect or anything like that. Yeah.
It was like they had the whole Shetland storyline in there. But that was a side mission compared to the entirety of the mission. It was kind of very much like Dread. Kind of like it's like this own slice about this day in the life of a super secret American spy, and then Conviction and Double Agent were a lot more personal stories about him and going on. And then Blacklist returns to form with it kind of it starts with the whole sort of thing, because it begins with the one of Sam's friends being injured on the job, and then he has to go find this guy. But that's not what the game is about. It's this kind of just overall mission that's going on.
Yeah, that and there were definitely segments in Blacklist with it was in first person. It felt so weird playing the still game in first person. So I know you said you got recently got an internet connection back. Did you get to play the Spies versus Mercs online? I have not yet to play them on yet.
It was it's a damn good game edition. It's very fun. I'm playing the 3-on-3 Spies versus Mercs, and I felt like back in Chaos Theory, it was a little bit unbalanced in favor of the Spies.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, they actually balanced it out really, really well to where the Mercs actually have a chance to actually do some damage as well. And
from what I recall in the single player, it probably just takes a bit to get used to. But I think to run you have to hold A, right?
Yes, to run you hold down A, and then you can easily jump over objects and jump over railings and.
Yeah, I prefer having it as like clicking on the left stick to run, but I think the clicking on the left stick can have you crouch, or maybe it's the right stick. I could be wrong.
No, it's the left stick to crouch, and then just holding down A. It's a weird setup because I like playing the game of Blacklist. The control scheme is so similar to Conviction. Except for a few key areas like aiming and running and going to cover, where they're the most important ones, and they change it. So you'll be in the middle of the firefight, and okay, got to get to that cover, and then you'll change out a magazine. It's oh damn it, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, because in Conviction, I think you would aim by to zoom in aim. It was you clicking on the right stick, and in Blacklist, you're just holding the left trigger. And the going into cover was pressing the B button, so that took a while to get used to. But once you got it, it was just a blast to go through. I think I stayed mainly stealth in that game, but I whenever I would need to go, start shooting up the place if I get caught, that's when I started blasting it. So I was kind of a nice blend of almost every play style that they have in there, the three play styles. I did. Whatever was necessary at the time. I know there's the other missions where you have to mainly do it completely stealth, so that one was those were fun and challenging ones. And I hated having to take down the big guys because they would always get me. I can never time them right, and they always turn around last minute. God damn it, I can't do anything because they overpower you. You have to get them from behind to knock them out. And that's how I ended up dying most of the time. But a good counterbalance to add it in there.
Yeah, I mean, because the other previous, they have very smart AI, but there's also just okay, you need to have variety once in a while, and so that's why they have they have the soldiers, then they have the counter Splinter Cell agents, they have Voron agents. The heavies with their helmets, and then you also have the tech specialists, which they jam the sonar, your goggles, as well as send out explodable sentries.
I hate those.
And then and the dogs. I don't care what playthrough style I'm going through. If I have if there are dogs around, I will make sure that I go non-lethal no matter what, because I don't want to kill dogs.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing. Just following orders.
Yeah, exactly. They're dogs. They don't know what they're doing. They're just there's somebody here. I better go bark at them and bite them in the butt. And then I don't want to kill them. Come on. The dog's got a rough life as it is.
No, I usually sticky shock them, but yeah, they're the ones that always make it more of a challenge for you. It's because they could easily sniff you out if you're a good 10 feet away from a dog. You gotta start moving once they start getting close to you, just to avoid them. So it took me a while to figure them out how they spot you there. I think if you're kind of close in the vicinity, they start barking, and so that's when you gotta start moving. You can't stay in the position. It's not like the other past Splinter Cell games, which I like. Is if you just stay in one position, they won't come looking for you there. There isn't any type of enemy in the previous games where will they start? Yeah, like if you just stay in one position most of the time, they won't probably spot you if you're in the dark. So
yeah,
that was a nice counterbalance.
They always. What I like is that you always have to be on your toes and to be able to change styles, very, very efficiently and fluidly, just so that you don't have to encounter more resistance and problems. And they really did cover the bases. This is a great not only stealth game, but just a really damn good Splinter Cell game. And we've said what we about Eric Johnson replacing Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher. I still think that they should have gone with a new character for Johnson to voice and perform as, but as is, it's not a bad performance. I still don't think it matches the best of Ironside, but it's it was a good performance.
Yeah, it wasn't anything bad, but yeah, I mean there were definitely, like I mentioned the last time we talked about it, there were definitely some scenes in Line of Dialogue that I would have just loved to hear Ironside say them. Like whenever you go ahead and when you ever call Sarah, those are always some good moments there.
Mm-hmm. And it was just so weird how it's a soft continuity reboot because they had like the actors and the characters from Conviction in there with the same voice actors. Like Andre Coben is back with the same voice actor who was Adam Jensen in Deus Ex. And I could not, like in the Conviction, his voice actor was crazy all the time because he was strung out and drugged out and like using horse tranquilizers on himself. So like he was always crazy, so I didn't notice it. But now he's like calmed down, and you can't use him for sort of an information whipping boy basically, and so he has to calm down and like be away from his drugs. So he's like, okay, now I just can't help but see Adam Jensen occasionally. It's like when he's locked up in a cell, I just imagine him looking at Sam going, I didn't ask for this.
And yeah, like you mentioned, I ended up liking him near the end there. He definitely has some good developments with him. Like just coming from Conviction just till there, he was definitely one of the standouts in that game in terms of
the first scene where he sees Sam. That was priceless. I love that he's like he doesn't freak out at all that somebody saves him who's like either from the CIA or FBI or from some U.S. government. He turns up, he sees it's Sam, and goes, oh shit, and then just like tries to hop away. It's like that is just great.
Yeah, I'd rather get tortured and killed than just having to confront Sam again.
And then just a lot of I like they have Sam in there. They use Sam frequently for good reason, like why they chose the character of Sam, like his relationship with Grimm, his relationship with Coben, and also his relationship with Briggs, because like Briggs is sort of the new trainee fresh out of the academy, and he's more kind of like a strict soldier military sort of operator who's like, we need to believe in the system and the American way. We need to share all of our information. And Sam's like, no, we only share on a need-to-know basis. They don't need to know because they could intercept our communique and immediately shut this whole operation down. And I like the play between those two. The only one who didn't really fit in was Charlie Coles, and it's like, okay, this kid could have been anyone. And I don't know, maybe if they had maybe even Victor Costa in that role, that would have been interesting. But
it would have been nice to bring back William Redding from Chaos Theory. You know how he had more of an interesting character than Charlie, because he definitely was your guy to go to for gear. Like he would always have that Redding's recommendation. So it would have been cool to have him back on there there's definitely mostly some missions here and there. They start talking before you actually start the mission as you're selecting your gear, so that you'll have these little symbols near items that you can equip that says recommended for this mission, like smoke grenades and things like that. So that would have definitely made it better to have him in there, because he definitely had he had the Redding's recommendation in Chaos Theory. So I always went with that. I never really went with either the stealth or the stealth or assault options there. I always went with what he had suggested for me. So I think that's probably why my personal attachment to him was is still there.
Yeah, and I think he didn't. I thought I was going to really hate him at first, Charlie Cole's character, but he actually had a pretty nice development in terms of kind of how he interacted with the story, especially with like what he has to do in order to maintain to get information, and then but he's fine, and I like the cast, I like the characters. I just wish that we got a little bit more time just to know them all.
Yeah. I mean, you only get so much when you're out of missions to talk to them, and even if you do talk to them again, they kind of repeat the same line if you want to get some sort of something out of them. Most of the stuff you can actually do from the menu there. You don't have to even go to that the SMI, I believe it's called. I think you can access most of that stuff in the pause menu.
Mm-hmm.
Either changing up your gear or buying stuff. You don't even have to go up and talk to Charlie to talk about any type of gear. I always expected some type of unlockable with him if you went and talked to him. But yeah, you can just do most of that stuff within your menu, so you don't have to go ahead and do that with him. I mean, you would only do that just to get some little bit of extra dialogue here and there. And I knew like that there was some reason they had that thing open on the top to get into the cockpit. I knew there was going to be something involved with that. I was like, why is it in here? I can't even talk to the pilots. And then later I find out, I was like, yes, now it makes sense.
I could see you like poring over schematics of a plane, going, wait a minute, something doesn't add up here. Like you have like a Sherlock Holmes pipe. Well, wait a minute. To my deductions, this is not right. I didn't actually expect that one to happen at all.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to happen, but I thought it was going to. Like I was hoping it did, because there was some reason they had that in there. It's like there's gotta be a reason they have this section in here, even though you can't really talk to the pilots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it paid off well. I liked that. It was mainly in the cutscenes, but that was a cool moment there.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you can replay that moment. I was trying to go through the mission select thing, and I was looking over all the different missions that you could go on, and I couldn't see one that you could replay that moment. But that's still worth go through of like, hey, I guess I can start up a new game and just see where that takes me.
Yeah, it's a shame that sometimes these single player games don't have like all the good moments that you can replay to just select from. Instead, you have to replay the game from the start, which is not too bad, but it's nice to go back and experience that moment real quick and not having to go and replay the entire game.
Mm-hmm. I love the fact that the entire menu screen and the entire system is done through the actual Paladin plane, where everything is just like a giant menu inside of. It's kind of almost like Dead Space, where although it is a menu, they try to incorporate it narratively so that you could see like everything that's on the huge map on the board, the Dr. Strangelove map that you got there. But it is one of those games where I am just impressed as hell of just like what Ubisoft has been able to pull off, and just and I like the fact that they play with genre conventions and also the gameplay mechanics that they set up, like the whole fifth echelon thing. They do that for Briggs, and then they do that for Sam, but it immediately not contradicts, but plays with that concept very, very well. And the same thing with the first-person mode they have with Briggs. They do something later, and you go, oh, okay, that's interesting, how you didn't expect that to come about.
Yeah, I think I do know what you're talking about. I did kind of catch that. I did kind of expect it. I think there was some tell in there that they were, this isn't right here. He's not saying so much.
Yeah, and I mean, it's certainly one of my favorite stealth games that are going on right now, and I haven't played a whole ton of the multiplayer. I just dip my toes in, but so far it is an excellent it's an excellent multiplayer system. Especially, it's very fast paced, very fun. All the mercs have all their cool traps, and all the spies have all neat little gadgets, and when together, it's just so much fun. Even when you die, it's like, oh damn it, I gotta look out for that next time. And just it's a very, very fun gameplay style to play. So I would definitely recommend it if you get the game. Definitely get it also for the multiplayer if you are on the fence about getting it for the multiplayer.
Yeah, definitely. I have no doubt that multiplayer is really good. They always seem to do a good job with multiplayer with some of these games. Even the ones that we doubted that were going to be any good. When they first introduced multiplayer in Brotherhood. I certainly had my doubts on it, but it turned out to be a entity of its own now. With the future Assassin's Creed games after, they usually incorporate that in there.
Yeah, they do that well, but then other times it's we get they surprise us with multiplayer occasionally, and then sometimes we get companies like EA that give us Dead Space 2, and that one is just disappointing as all can be.
Mm-hmm. That is a shame, but good stuff. Blacklist. I definitely want to replay that again. And did you ever bother to change the color of your goggles?
I felt kind of dirty when I did, just because I feel like I would be disrespecting the legacy of Sam Fisher. But I did replay some missions with navy blue.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I was thinking about doing that, changing the colors of the goggles when I replayed it again. I didn't do it during my first playthrough. It was like, it wouldn't feel right. It just Sam wouldn't go for the violet goggles. I don't think he would be down for that.
I think Sam Fisher committed acts of war under the Fifth Freedom for your enjoyment. So you better enjoy the classic green that they got there.
Yeah, I like how they still kept the incorporation of the light behind you, or whenever you're in the dark, it'll light up, and when you're not, it doesn't light up. I did like that. It kind of harkens back a little bit to I think it was Chaos Theory, or it was. I don't think it was Chaos Theory because it had that little silhouette of Sam light up and go down. So it's sort of similar to that. I didn't incorporate that in Double Agent. I could try to remember off of memory, but yeah, I did like that feature there when you're letting you know when you're in the dark, so enemies can't see you.
Yeah, they always have a good indication of when you're invisible without after Double Agent after Chaos Theory they got rid of they got rid of the kind of the meters to instantly identify whether or not you were hidden or not. And then this time they're able to to make it a much more innate visual sort of stuff that's going on.
Yeah, it was a good design choice. So you don't have that much stuff to look at on the screen, other than just what you need to other than what you need to look at is just if there are enemies around. I always sometimes ended up getting a little distracted looking at the meter sometimes I get caught sometimes. But they do it right with this one because you're actually looking at Sam, so you kind of have a better perception on what's going on around you. If anyone is in the sight of seeing you, whether you're going out of darkness or not. And I don't think we mentioned either. I think they took out the black and white feature when you go in the dark. Yeah,
I think that was for the best.
Yeah, it was. I just thought I'd bring that up because I don't think we mentioned that. But that was because they incorporated the light system with the goggles and the meter in the back really well. So you didn't really need to have it go in black and white. You just use your goggles if it's too dark. Sometimes it gets really dark, so I had to turn them on all the time.
Yeah, and you couldn't when they had the black and white mode in Conviction, it would desaturate all the color out of the screen, and make it the very big contrast between light and dark, and because of that, you really couldn't appreciate a lot of the art style that they had going on, and that was just a crying shame. Kind of like how in the Arkham games you can turn on detective mode the entire time and not really look at all the stuff that like the production designers probably slaved over and are crying right now just because nobody's looking at them, and the same thing for Conviction, where occasionally you would be in the darkness, and because of that, it was done so that you could more easily identify when you're in the darkness versus when you're in the light. But because of that, it took away a lot of the appreciation of the visual aesthetic. So they do a much. I think they do a much more. They strike a good balance in this game, where they have just the lights kind of popping up where you're more hidden.
Yeah, I think it was definitely for the best. Yeah, so that's Blacklist there. Definitely a good stealth action game if you're looking to get into that. If you want to play either or, it's definitely has a strong points in both. So
absolutely,
definitely worth checking out there. So other than that, do you have anything else you want to discuss before we get into Twitter questions?
The only thing that I can really think about right now is also there's a iPhone game that's associated with Blacklist where. If you remember the first kind of announcement trailer that was going on for Blacklist, they had a spider robot in there, and it never showed up in the final game. But the thing is that Ubisoft has made an iPhone iOS game where you get to play as the spider bot and go through different missions. Like there's 3 different sort of categories. First is almost like. What was it, like a Geometry Wars sort of game where you're just kind of blasting all the enemies and trying to take out kind of a center pylon, and then there's Panther style in the game where you're trying to hide yourself and immediately take out baddies when you can, and get like it's almost like a runner game where you're trying to get as many of the information kind of nodes as possible, and then there's a stealth version where you try to sneak around. Take out scientists, steal their information, and then get out of there. And they're all really, really fun. And it's free. And I would definitely recommend if you have an iOS or iPhone to download it and enjoy. And if you can actually unlock, if you go through Uplay, you can unlock some of the iPhone only exclusives that you can have to it, which I'm trying to build up to.
Oh, in-game items. I noticed that it said something about having to play the mobile game for some of the in-game items that you can equip before a mission.
Mm.
I guess unfortunately it's not on the Android there.
I do not know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think
some of these things seem to be on the iPhone.
Mm.
And iOS. I mean, that and. Is it anything close to what I'm imagining? It would be as sort of the gameplay like from what I recall in that James Bond game, the one with the what is her name? Was Shannon Elizabeth? There's a couple of parts in the game where you actually control that's some type of spider bot, and you're just shooting out lasers from that spider bot. I don't know if you remember that.
Ooh, was it a mobile game or was it an actual console game with like the spider bot in it?
It was a console game with the kind of a spider bot mini game here and there, and it was a James Bond game.
Is it Everything or Nothing?
Yeah, it was Everything or Nothing. I believe it was. It had it was the one. It had Heidi Klum in it, and it had Shannon Elizabeth with the best menu screen ever, with just her holding a gun and with the wind blowing at her in slow motion.
I do think that it was in the game, and yes. But the spider bot I don't think handles the similar. It depends on I think the assault style of the spider bot is actually very similar to that, where you just go around and you can mow down enemy drones and what have you through there, and it's a very interesting game. How they're all set up differently, and I just checked it. Actually, they do have an Android version for it, and it's just it's very, very interesting that they put a lot of work and effort into into actually something that they could have just like said like whatever, we'll just have our B team on this, but they did a very good job, and that gives me very fond memories of the Splinter Cell game for the mobile phone, where they had before they even had like the cell phone technology to show anything more than like 4 colors on the screen, where they had like
flip phone.
yeah.
The flip phone game.
And I remember just like, even though it was very simple, it was very like, okay, here's Sam Fisher, he's kind of going out through this. They actually incorporated some pretty funny Splinter Cell moments, where there's like you had to knock out like 6 security breakers, I think, and Lambert calls you up, like, good job, Fisher, 3 down. It's like, thanks, I found it hard to always count past 2. There's no need to get snarky, Fisher.
Oh yeah.
And
definitely a good back and forth between Lambert and Sam there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
always enjoyed those moments.
They really do, work hard on their franchises, and I just love the fact that they went back to the drawing board for both Conviction and Blacklist when they got criticism for it. Like the first was Conviction was, kind of an entirely different thing, where it was very, from reports, it was very similar to Assassin's Creed, where you just go in and blend in a crowd and utilize kind of the weaponry that you have around you, where you would use like chairs and whatnot, and they actually had like a physics engine set up for that, and then people just didn't really take to it, and Assassin's Creed was announced, so the team was like, okay, we got to go back to the drawing board, and then they made the Conviction.
Yeah.
And then with Blacklist, they went back to development after people said like, okay, we want non-lethal options in the game, as well as the ability to just go through without being seen, as well as there's a lot of action in here, and we would like to just be able to negotiate so that we can actually have a non-lethal playthrough.
Yeah, I think that's what was missing in Conviction. That's what was the best parts of Chaos Theory, is that you can do both, that you can do stealth and action, and you got points for it. I think it's more laid back in Blacklist and compared to Chaos Theory, because Chaos Theory, it didn't force you to be completely stealthy, but you definitely got the best rating if you were stealthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the same way with Blacklist as well. I think you get the most points for being stealthy and not being seen, not confronting anybody or anything like that. I think you get the most points out of that, but you can also still get points for doing those other things, shooting, killing somebody without them seeing you, and just or going full assault. So you still you get the best of all those worlds there, and you can get achievements for doing those different playstyles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it has good replayability in that aspect. Just go about it in those 3 different completely ways, or just either one at a time, or just in one mission doing 3 of those things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so fun about it.
Yeah, and then
good stuff.
It's very fun, and as we've said before, it's a game that also changes on the fly in terms of how you play it. Like if you get noticed and you can't take out the guy in time, then you gotta then switch over to assault mode, and then you gotta go to your if you want to, your pistol or your sniper rifle, what have you, navigate throughout the terrain, lose your enemies, or charge right in. Or if the guy sees you, and then you can knock him out before he warns the other guys, you can take his body and then hide it, which I do love, because that just reminds me of Chaos Theory time, when you just hide so many bodies, patrols coming around here, so I got to keep you there. And
I did that too. Yeah, there was that mission where you interrogate the guy at his house. I knocked out 5 guys and just put them in the corner, all stacked on top of each other.
That would be terrifying for the first guy who finds them in the morning, who just wakes up and he's on a pile of unconscious other men. What the hell happened?
It was almost on the same levels of that picture someone took of them playing Skyrim, where they just had hordes of dead bodies in their place. That was a great picture.
Like, do you think like Sam just like takes like all the dead bodies that he brings, that he gets on his missions, like into the Paladin, just like hangs them up, like, Grim, I want you to bronze this corpse over here so I can show everyone back when we get home. It's like, Sam, people are already worried about you as it is. Come on, let's just pull it back a little.
Already got a lot of weight on this plane. Crazy.
Yeah, it is really, really good that that they include so many options, and that it really is one of those games that plays to any style that you want, and you can really kind of make up your own sort. And no matter what you do, it always fits in narratively. Like, you can go in guns blazing in when the situation calls for it, or if you can be completely stealthy, and you'll still have the same results. But just kind of getting there, which is half the battle and half the fun.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's all about. So, yes, other than that, you want to go ahead and get into some questions for tonight to wrap it up here?
Absolutely. Let's wrap it.
All right. Let me go ahead and pull these up real quick. We do have one viewer in the chat, so that's great. That's amazing. Amazing.
Woot woot.
I think it's Stephen Rome, so shout out to you, Stephen Rome.
Stephen Rome.
And let me pull up these questions real quick. So we got two here, from Deep Voice here.
Hey, I'm the only deep voice around here.
And his question is, let's see. So what are your thoughts on reports that the PS4 is 50% faster than the Xbox One? Oh, yeah. Take a look here real quick.
Yeah, good, I guess. I mean, the thing about the PlayStation 3, which had me a little bit questioning, is the fact that they, because of how the processor worked, a lot of game companies that developed for the PlayStation 3 could only develop for that processor, which led to them having very beautiful-looking games. But because of the fact that a lot of them wanted to go multi-console to recuperate the cost, which is what happened with Ninja Theory with Enslaved Odyssey to the West. There's a tendency that maybe it's hard locked into the hardware, where you have like the 360 more capable, or just like at the very least that they can run it very well, and then the PlayStation 3 has to catch up, which is what happened with Bayonetta, which was so severe that people made separate reviews for Bayonetta for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, because it was built for sort of maximizing the 360 hardware as well as being on the PlayStation 3. And I wonder if that's going to be the same case with the PS4, where they maximize the hardware, but if they want to have multi-console, then it might suffer on the PS4. I don't know. I am not an engineer, a video game engineer, or know kind of about the specs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't affect the I guess making the games for that console, I guess that's completely fine. I mean, I know they always harken back on like which console what game looks better on which console, and most of the time they look the same, or they maybe slightly looks better on one, but it's really hard to tell, especially with frame rates. It's hard to tell whether one has a better frame rate than the other, unless I'm missing something, which probably not. It's really hard to tell between the two whether or not you have the better frame rate. So it doesn't quite matter too much to me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
More about the games. We play to play the games. We pay to play the games.
Damn straight. It's all about the games and kind of how developers maximize that hardware as much as possible, rather than the hardware itself. And I certainly hope if it is 50% faster, that it's noticeable, and that that will make the Microsoft developers, if they're making just exclusives for the Xbox One, have to say, like, okay, now we really got to step up our game because we don't have the hardware for that. And competition breeds excellence, and I hope this will be one excellent generation.
Yeah, if by 50% faster, if that means faster for the updates, which I hear are atrocious for PS3, then I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
And just one more question here to wrap it up. It's gonna we got here. Is there is there a Citizen Kane of video games that, or is there one for you personally? Much like films, usually films will get the mark of the Citizen Kane of our generation.
Yeah.
Does this apply to any video games we may have played or had the pleasure of playing recently? If you were to be maybe to be subjective or objective there. It's hard for me to say because the games are always evolving, so this is always going to be something that you're looking for. It's probably going to be in some new iteration in the future, I think.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to say.
For Citizen Kane, first off, that's a bit hard just because when you're immediately comparing something to Citizen Kane, you get pre-assumptions of what that question entails. Do you mean in terms of how it changed the medium itself or the quality itself, or just like how well it's stacked up to multiple repeat viewings, or how it's studied in terms of game design? And going through all that, I would probably have to say the biggest one. I think if Watchmen was kind of the definitive story or the definitive work for comic books, I would have to say the one that allowed for more stories to be more stories to be kind of pursued, that really opened the door. I would probably have to say BioShock is the really big one that really opened the door in terms of using first-person shooter narratives, as well as just establishing settings, and that setting was as important. It's done before in Silent Hill, but I think it was just outstandingly done in BioShock. The fact that it addressed really adult issues and dealt with a philosophy that what wasn't really touched before in almost any medium of objectivism, and just how the team at Irrational kind of deconstructed that in terms of setting up these cast of characters and making this really rich and beautiful world, and then just seeing how it all fell apart. Where I've never seen something go into that much detail at that until that point. Even with like Knights of the Old Republic or any big RPGs, I never felt as engrossed as I did with BioShock.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a definitely good example. It definitely changed the way how you can tell a story in a first-person shooter rather than just have cutscenes like you mentioned there. I mean, I would say for me, I guess a game maybe on, if you were to say on a level of really top quality, I guess in terms of creating characters and telling stories around those characters would probably be like the first Mass Effect. I think that's definitely set the tone with how gaming nowadays can tell a really good story and have really good characters that you care about. Just even if you're not playing the main missions, you can still enjoy the game just by kind of exploration, just meandering around just the Citadel there. That's definitely one of my good examples, I'd have to say, in terms of just characters, creating good characters.
Now, yeah, I think that question was maybe aimed towards the intellectual and respectability side in terms of an entry into the video game medium, which was artistically done well. But in terms of like being well respected and revered over the years, I'm gonna have to probably say Super Mario, where that one is just like there's not a single person who says like that's a poorly designed game, even though it's not the most adult game, because for God's sakes you're riding a giant green dinosaur who's eating bullets as they fly at you. But it definitely does that, and and it's just well respected. It's still loved by a lot of people, and just say like, okay, if you only had a very select number of games to play in the entire world, Super Mario World is one of them.
Yeah, definitely one of those games, or even I guess franchises that stand the test of time in terms of gameplay. It's really, really fun and challenging platforming.
Mm-hmm. And also just something else I just thought about for BioShock, in that it was the first game to make a commentary on player expectations and game designs that I can remember that wasn't really overt. Like I can remember it also done very well in Sons of Liberty, but that one was incredibly overt. It Metal Gear Solid is one of those franchises that break the fourth wall directly instead of actually asking the player questions about the sanity, the artifice of the medium. It directly said like, oh no, you got to turn off the game, and then they bring up a game over screen, and that was good. But I think that with that tradition, then you BioShock set that up. Then you had Portal, and then Red Dead Redemption, and then of course BioShock Infinite, Spec Ops: The Line, where they had playing expectation actually set up and comment on narrative, which I think is just brilliant and just something that that was really fostered by that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
yeah, it's definitely some definitely good questions there. It definitely sparked some conversations. That's what we like about this: questions and answers.
We enjoy that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Of course, the other Citizen Kane of our generation is, of course, Big Mother Truckers, which no one can ever deny the lasting appeal and just the artistry that is comparable to Leonardo da Vinci or Stanley Kubrick or Charlie Kaufman. Really.
I mean that, and you're forgetting. I mean, one vital one is Pepsi Man.
Oh, how could I forget Pepsi Man? Pepsi Man. Oh, good God. That is... no, I can tell you why I forgot about it, because it is in a league of its own. You cannot compare it to anything. It is a sheltering, warm sun on a cold, harsh, blustery day. You look up and you see Pepsi Man, then you go, you know what? Today's going to be all right. And then you walk on home with a smile in your heart.
I like that outlook. I like it. I'm in the mood playing Pepsi Man. See what you did there.
Pepsi Man.
So yeah, that's it for our questions segment here. I appreciate you guys listening here. Currently, right now on the live on YouTube here, and also for those who may have missed the live show. I definitely thank you for listening later on, whenever you get the chance to listen to this when it's up on the channel here. And we definitely covered a lot of ground. So some movie talk, what we've been playing, and just the overall what we're kind of hopefully turns out to be a good game for GTA 5. Definitely got into some discussions on that. So definitely looking forward to recording another episode with you and talking about that as it comes out. But I would hardly. I think he would hardly disagree with me. Is we may not be doing this podcast anymore after we play GTA 5. We're going to be so occupied.
No, we will. We'll just be doing it while we're playing GTA 5. So just imagine, as us talking about I heard about Irrational firing the news. Oh, come on, Splinter. What, you were supposed to watch out for me there. A helicopter crashed on me because of you.
I'm most looking forward to GTA Online. You and I got to start robbing some joints here and getting some money and starting up a business and getting our place together. It's gonna be fun.
We're gonna have more of a life in there than we do out here, and I think that is how the Matrix actually starts. This is how Skynet slowly takes over. They don't kill us with nuclear weapons. They make GTA 5.
I guess one more thing I heard. One really cool thing I did hear about GTA 5 before we wrap up here. One of the cool things you can do online as you're robbing a bank, you can yell into your microphone, and then it will cause the teller you're robbing from to start they're putting the money in the bag faster. So it reacts to how you speak and the tone of your voice, which is really awesome.
I'm going to try to pull up the audio clip of Steve Carell and Anchorman yelling, and just have that on a loop and see if he still reacts like loud noises. I don't know what we're yelling about, and see how much faster he puts the money in the bag.
It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna getting our crew together and start ghost riding the whip.
Ooh, this sounds like a good idea. I cannot wait for GTA 5, and I hope it's good.
Definitely. So, yeah, thanks again for listening, guys. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at Spooner47 and at ch_Gorog, and also we're available on iTunes, Spill.com, and the Better Gaming Bureau, the BGB.com, our sister site, and and YouTube as well on my YouTube channel. You can definitely take a gander at the podcast as well, and I think that's about it for plugs.
Yes, it is.
Audibletrial.com /Bloody Thumbs still going on. So
yes,
if you want
indeed.
a free audiobook, go to that link.
How can you say no to free? That's what I ask you.
I know. It's crazy. It's like it's as good as you can get if you want to read something for free.
It's like we're giving free away. This is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. This is serious business. Come on, get some free.
Yes. So as always, you guys have a wonderful night. So I'm gonna go ahead and call this a wrap for episode 143 of Bloody Thumbs podcast. So you take care of yourself, take care of others, be kind, be courteous, and don't bully.
Rewind.
Don't bully. It's an epidemic.
Absolutely. Just be nice to each other, and violence is never the answer unless you're on Grand Theft Auto 5. Then violence is always the answer. Violence is really the only answer in that game.
Yes, it's definitely going to be that way coming this Tuesday. So yes, we'll see you all. We'll see you all soon. You have a good night. I'm Spooner47 signing off.
I am CH Gorog. Bye bye.